Welcome to whatever this is, Bangay Hen. Specifically, welcome to Too Full for This Sinful Earth. Starring me, myself, and I. This is simultaneously a talk stream and a recording done by myself because I am too full for this sinful earth. Anyway, what do I want to talk about for today? Nothing in particular. I'm being derailed by Kasho talking about Kaguya. However, I want to talk about Asacoco. Why Asacoco, you may ask? Well, it's fairly easy. Asacoco is a new show done by Kiryu Coco almost every morning on weekdays at 6 a.m. Japanese Standard Time. Now, what specifically do I want to talk about it? Well, I just want really to parse its appeal. Now, Senri, virtual economist Senri, has given a detailed breakdown of Asacoco's success in terms of a behavioral economist's perspective. However, the points that he has, I think, at this point are not sufficient to explain Asacoco's popularity. Let me explain. Well, actually, I can't explain it properly. So instead, I will explain the points that I want to highlight concerning how Asacoco operates currently as a show. First off, if you notice Asacoco's format, it actually runs like a regular Japanese news show. And some of you may say, okay, there's no surprise there. It runs like a regular news show, so why should I care? Well, the thing is, why do people keep on watching it despite it looking like a regular news show? Well, I cite three potential factors, but Coco doesn't exactly execute these factors all in perfect unison. Rather, she has some shades of one factor and some shades of another factor while falling flat on some other aspects. The first aspect I'd want to raise is the fact that Asacoco, despite its trappings as a news show, is actually fairly unhinged. Not as a news show, but as a depiction of the Japanese idol. Coco herself already has the reputation of being particularly un-idol-like, at least if you're going to use the standards of the Showa and Heisei idol systems. We are now in Reiwa, or at least Japan is now in Reiwa. So we are expecting a transformation in the image of the idol for this era. However, Coco herself tries to dial down on the aspects of her character that make her seem less savory than her Heisei counterparts. Even so, the fact that she can swear on air, is a newscaster on air, and the news topics that she covers are particularly unbecoming of the profession, make her stand out nonetheless. Now, let's move on to the next phase. I mentioned that the news topics that she covers are quite unorthodox, even for news standards, even for showbiz news standards. In fact, as far as I know, here in the Philippines, no one is going to talk about your farts or your anal holes, whatever body part that you have that may or may not be noticeable. The only places that would actually talk about those are tabloids, which frankly do not make it to national television. However, Coco's take on the news is both a satirical parody and at the same time just a parroting. I'm dying. Coco's take on the news via Asacoco is both a satirical take on showbiz news and at the same time a parroting of the traditional Japanese news format. Coco doesn't really go out of her way to give much of her own personal opinion apart from her Yuskisha ni Yoruto segments, apart from her expert opinion segments, which either really only affirm or deny the statement that she reported on a previous segment. Lastly is that, so we'll have to ask, where does Coco's Asacoco popularity come from, in the sense that how is the news that she does comedy? Is the news that she does closer to comedy news, as most people, but like, what spurred this line of thought anyway was that I saw a Wisecrack video talking about the state of comedy news, since you have guys like Trevor Noah and Samantha Bee who are more on the comedy as affirmation side of things, while on the other side you have Hassan Minaj and John Oliver putting out pieces for comedy as critical reflection. Is Asacoco one or the other? I would argue Asacoco is neither. Asacoco is actually pretty dry as a news program, with occasional bits of comedy injected to it, but that comedy is not there to either affirm nor deny the facts stated on the news program itself. Instead, what the comedy there does is to entertain the viewer because of all the other aforementioned factors above, such as, well, Coco usually reporting on unorthodox topics, and the fact that Coco herself is an unorthodox idol in the first place. So it is just an interplayed act, more or less. It is a funny one. But Coco's style is not really treading into the comedy news territory, as someone might expect if you've watched tons of comedy news. Anyway, where was I? I'm dying. That's all I have to say regarding Asacoco. I think, for now. Yeah, I ate way too much. This has been too full for this sinful earth. I have eaten 5 kilograms worth of food today. Thank you, and good afternoon.